Here are today's top stories. Malacanang awaits the DOJ assessment on Janet Lim Napoles' admission to the Witness Protection Program. The MMDA and other law enforcement agencies will be on duty throughout the observance of Holy Week. The Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission recommends firing the prosecutors who dismissed the Lim and Espinosa case. And the PNP and PDEA are ready to present the real numbers on the drug war to the ICC when given the order. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Malacanang is awaiting the assessment of the Department of Justice on the application of alleged pork barrel scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles for full coverage under the government's Witness Protection Program. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque made this comment after Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission spokesperson Greco Belhica said he believes Napoles is not a mastermind but a willing beneficiary of corruption. Roque said Belhica's statement was his personal opinion and would rather wait for the DOJ's assessment on Napoles' application for full coverage of the WPP. Roque also said that President Duterte will not interfere on the said matter. The palace spokesperson added that it is too early for the public to be aggravated by this development since Napoles has not yet been admitted into the program. More than 1,800 personnel of the Metro Manila Development Authority have been deployed as part of Oplan Metro Alalay Semana Santa or Oplan Mass. This is to ensure the safety of motorists and passengers during the Lenten holiday. Traffic enforcers, roadside clearing group, anti-jaywalking, road safety, and towing personnel will be deployed along major thoroughfares in Metro Manila to manage traffic as city folk begin the exodus to the provinces for the Holy Week break. The MMDA will also deploy personnel within the vicinity of bus terminals, seaports, and roads leading to airports, as well as major churches where pilgrims make their traditional visita iglesia. Despite the holiday, the MMDA warned illegally parked vehicles and road obstructions that the law will be enforced. There will be a no day off and no absent policy for all traffic personnel on Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday when traffic is expected to be at its heaviest. The number coding scheme for private vehicles will be lifted at 10 a.m. Wednesday. City and provincial buses are also exempted from the number coding on Wednesday, March 28 and Monday, April 2nd for passengers going to the provinces. The yellow lane policy will still be implemented along EDSA. The Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, or PACC, recommended the preventive suspension of all prosecutors involved in the dismissal of the criminal complaint filed against businessman Peter Lim, confessed drug lord Kerwin Espinosa, and their alleged accomplices. The PACC is also recommending a show cause for police officers who filed what was described as a weak case and vowed to conduct a lifestyle check on erring officials. PACC spokesperson Greco Belhica said the commission has submitted its recommendation to President Rodrigo Duterte on Tuesday morning. Belhica said the PACC has also recommended the coordination between investigating prosecutors and police in case buildup. President Duterte signed Executive Order Number 43 last October, creating the PACC, which is mandated to directly assist the President in investigating or hearing administrative cases primarily involving graft and/or corruption against all presidential appointees. The PACC has the power on a complaint to hear, investigate, receive, gather, and evaluate evidence, intelligence reports, and information in administrative cases against all presidential appointees. The Philippine National Police and the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency are ready to provide the International Criminal Court, or ICC, with data on the Duterte administration's campaign against illegal drugs if they are given permission by a higher office. Here is our report.
The PNP and PDEA are ready to give the ICC the real numbers regarding the government's anti-illegal drugs campaign once they are given permission by Malacanang. The ICC reportedly plans to pursue its investigation on the alleged violations of human rights on the government's drug war despite President Duterte's decision to withdraw the Philippines from the ICC. Palace officials have insisted that the International Court has no jurisdiction over Duterte, saying that the court's principle of complementarity provides that it can only conduct the probe if local courts were unable or unwilling to do so. Contrary to human rights groups' data indicating 7,000 deaths, the PDEA and PNP reports that only 4,075 drug personalities have died in anti-drug operations as of March 20 this year. According to government data, 91,704 anti-drug operations have been conducted by the PDEA and PNP, resulting in the arrest of 124,648 suspects, which included government officials and uniformed personnel. Over 46,000 drug-related cases have been filed in court, with half of these cases awaiting prosecutors' resolution. Out of 2,467 drug-related homicide cases, 715 have been solved, while 1,752 remain under investigation. The total amount of confiscated drugs, chemicals, and laboratory equipment has now reached over 19 billion pesos. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Abs Abando.
The recount of votes on the electoral protest filed by Senator Bongbong Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo is all set, with the Supreme Court acting as Presidential Electoral Tribunal, or PET. The media was given a tour of the heavily secured recount venue at the Court of Appeals in Manila, where revisions will be conducted. The revision process is the verification of ballots to recount the votes of the parties and to record the objections or claims of the parties and other motions. Some 5,400 clustered precincts covering the three pilot provinces of Camarines Sur, Iloilo, and Negros Oriental were chosen by Marcos as the best provinces to prove where the irregularities took place. Still to come, the Philippines will benefit from the duty-free scheme of the reauthorized US GSP. And the DOH is closely monitoring individuals who received Dengue shots in Palawan. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Mayroon tayong specific na computation, kaya lang magbabari din siya depende doon sa mga activities being performed by the different tourists, including the area, and we are going also to consider yung mga factors in terms of limitation. Actually, magkakaroon tayo ng data based doon sa mga previous researches that had been conducted. Mayroon tayong tinatawag na review of literature. Kukunin natin yung mga previous information, i-compare natin sa ngayon, then magkakaroon tayo ng formula in the computation ng ating recommended basic carrying capacity, real carrying capacity, and yung probable or possible na carrying capacity for Boracay. The number of tourists coming in Boracay was only around 500,000. And for CY 2017 data, it has already 2 million tourists for CY 2017. And for 2 months period, meaning for CY 2018, itong January and February data, they have more or less 300,000 plus tourists already. So, kailangan nating i-update yung carrying capacity that we have already conducted previously, so that we will be able to determine the number of tourists coming in Boracay Island, and likewise the physical carrying capacity. We need also to assist the volume of waste that has been generated, and likewise how people are doing their activities in Boracay Island. Napakaganda yung Boracay, but it seems napakaraming tao na, napakaraming structures, napakaraming basura, at siyempre nakikita naman natin na yung water is not as clear as before. Even yung sand, hindi na mag-aanong maputi compared before. Tayo sa environment side, gagawin talaga natin ang lahat ng makaya natin para masave natin ang Boracay.
The Philippine government, through its embassy in Washington, D.C., welcomed the reauthorization of the United States Generalized System of Preference Scheme that allows duty-free entry of more than 5,000 products to America. Philippine Ambassador to the U.S. Jose Manuel Romualdez said the Philippines has enjoyed preferential duty-free entry to the U.S. through the GSP program. The GSP exports account for 18% of Philippine exports to the U.S., valued at an estimated $1.59 billion. Romualdez emphasized the importance of the GSP to Philippine exporters and micro, small, and medium enterprises. The scheme provides duty-free access to thousands of eligible products for beneficiary developing countries, such as the Philippines. The GSP expired in December 2017 and was reauthorized on March this year after it was included in the omnibus spending bill signed into law last March 23 by U.S. President Donald Trump. The renewal authorizes a GSP until December 31, 2020 and covers over 5,000 products or 47.7% of the 10,600 U.S. tariff lines. As of July 2017, a total of 23 travel goods were added to the program. The Manila International Airport Authority reports an 8% increase in international arrivals from March 22 to 26. For the same period, a slight decrease of 3.9% was recorded for international departures. There were over 170,000 international departures as compared to almost 177,000 last year. Meanwhile, domestic travels for both departure and arrival have decreased by about 3% compared to the same period last year. Domestic arrival showed a 9.4% decrease from last year. A slight decrease of 1.97% was also recorded in the total number of passengers at NAIA. For the same period, there were over 634,000 passengers this year, compared with more than 646,000 passengers that NAIA had in 2017. In a related development, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, earlier cited its preparedness for the Holy Week as it expects an increase in the passenger influx. The Department of Health Mimaropa office has placed 9 recipients of the Dengue anti-dengue vaccine in Palawan under strict monitoring and ensured that these patients will receive medical assistance when needed. The 9 Palawan residents, 1 in Taytay and 8 in Puerto Princesa, were recently located by the DOH's Dengue Task Force. DOH Mimaropa Regional Director Eduardo Hanairo said all identified Dengue vaccine individuals, or DVIs, in the region had been verified and are being monitored for any signs of symptoms of health problems caused by the vaccine. As of March 23, the Regional Epidemiological Surveillance Unit, in coordination with the provincial health offices, identified a total of 121 DVIs in Mimaropa. The most number of DVIs are in Occidental Mindoro with 58, Oriental Mindoro with 34, Marinduque with 13, and 7 in Romblon. Hanairo said most DVIs received the vaccine from private clinics and hospitals and government schools in Calabarzon and NCR in 2016. The Philippine Army in Eastern Visayas is on full alert and ready for the 49th anniversary of the New People's Army on March 29, which falls on Maundy Thursday, when many pilgrims are expected to flock to churches and religious sites. Philippine Army 8th Infantry Division Commander Major General Raul Farnacio said the Army remains strong in its campaign to protect the people from terrorists and other threat groups, criminal activities, and secure places of religious worship, resorts, commercial areas, and government offices. Security and Army camps and detachments have also been heightened. The Army increased its readiness after a brief encounter between soldiers and NPA fighters erupted in the upland Kasangaya village in Canavid, Eastern Samar before noon on Sunday, while acting on a tip by residents that the rebels were conducting extortion activities. No casualties were reported, but soldiers recovered a rifle and ammunition left behind by the rebels. The Philippine Army in Eastern Visayas disclosed that there are 3 cities and 24 towns in the region where NPA rebels are operating. The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, or PDEA, will look into the possibility that non-governmental organizations may have become unwitting tools by drug lords to discredit the government's war on drugs. PDEA spokesperson Derek Carrion said the matter is still subject to further investigation by all law enforcement agencies. Despite criticisms against the drug war, Carrion said PDEA will continue to conduct anti-drug operations in accordance with the law. He assured that PDEA and the Philippine National Police are open to criticisms, adding that corrections will be considered in their efforts to make a drug-free Philippines. Up next, more overseas Filipino workers arrived from Kuwait, and the NCRPO issues warning to all netizens not to post their travel itinerary. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns. "165 overseas Filipino workers arrived from Kuwait on Tuesday, in addition to the 350,000 already repatriated since February of this year. The Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, are constantly working on repatriating OFWs on the instructions of President Rodrigo Duterte since the deployment ban to Kuwait last February. The president has also requested local carriers to help in the government's repatriation efforts. The Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific have responded to this request by mounting special flights and providing free flights for the distressed OFWs in Kuwait. Repatriated OFWs will be provided with temporary shelter upon their arrival, and the government will shoulder their fare in going back to their home provinces in addition to cash support. Meanwhile, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, earlier announced it would prioritize the repatriated OFWs in the agency's free technical vocational, or TechVoc, courses. Repatriated OFWs from Kuwait will also be prioritized in TESDA's training programs and retraining assistance. The family of Filipina caregiver Melody Castro, who was killed in a deadly earthquake that hit Taiwan in February, will receive a donation of 600,000 pesos from the Taiwanese government. Of the said amount, 200,000 pesos was from the Taiwan Association Incorporated, and the remaining 400,000 pesos from the Taiwan Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the Philippines. The donation, which was in addition to the 3.2 million financial assistance from the Taiwanese community, was handed over to Castro's husband, JR, at the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, or TECO, in Makati. Dr. Gary Song Juan Lin of TECO said the donation reflects Taiwan's love and compassion towards foreign workers. Castro, who began her work as a caregiver in 2015, was one of the victims in the recent 6.4 magnitude earthquake that hit Hualien, Taiwan in February. There are about 150,000 OFWs currently in Taiwan, where more than 100,000 are in the manufacturing industry, while over 30,000 are caregivers or household service workers. The National Capital Region Police Office advised vacationers not to post their travel information on social networking sites during the Holy Week that criminals may take advantage of. NCRPO spokesperson Superintendent Kimberly Molita said they have been repeating this warning time and time again, appealing to parents to manage their children when browsing social media and advising kids not to use ATM or at-the-moment itinerary. Molitas also urged netizens not to post their tickets, passports, and flight itinerary on social media throughout the Holy Week. She added that criminals might use this information against netizens, and they can also monitor whether or not a house will be empty during the holidays. The NCRPO has deployed a total of 12,000 police personnel, including 400 soldiers, to provide security throughout Metro Manila during the country's observance of Holy Week to secure public areas, including transport terminals and malls. Some 25,000 force multipliers, 12,000 barangay tanods, and 9,000 Blue Guards will also be assisting police efforts during the Holy Week. Molitas, however, clarified that they have not monitored any threat in Metro Manila. Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories. Malacanang awaits the DOJ assessment on Janet Lim Napoles' admission to the Witness Protection Program. The MMDA and other law enforcement agencies will be on duty throughout the observance of Holy Week. The Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission recommends firing the prosecutors who dismissed the Lim and Espinosa case. And the PNP and PDEA are ready to present the real numbers on the drug war to the ICC when given the order. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And at this point, all of us from the PNA Newsroom would like to greet our beloved President Rodrigo Roa Duterte a very happy birthday. And of course, since it is the Lenten season, we would like to remind you that life is all about challenges and sacrifice. And it does not mean that if you have a challenge or a sacrifice, it does not mean that the rest is going to be bad. So I guess this is a time for us to reflect and embrace the challenges and sacrifices of our life. And since we will be on a break for the next 2 days, we are wishing you a happy weekend for the rest of the week, and we will see you all on Monday. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm William Theo. Good day.